We're right in the middle of it this time. We're at the middle of the NFL Combine because now the 26th season takes off in full throttle with this time in Indianapolis and then pushing on. So this edition of Defending the Kingdom, brought to you by Ticketmaster, your new best friend throughout the entire offseason, comes to you from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Mahomes in the pocket, he'll step up, he'll scramble 10, 5, Mahomes, diving, touchdown, Kansas City.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, along with senior team reporter Matt McMullen. Oh, my gosh. Buzz of activity. Again, full disclosure, my 33rd year in the NFL. First time I've been to the Combine. I get a Super Bowl feel to this place.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a mini Super Bowl in a way in terms of all the media that's around here. We're in this media row area, so we're table 32. There's like 50 tables in here from every team, like radio stations, major media networks, and then right next door is where all the player availability is, and you see the big sets with like CBS and Fox and NFL Network and all that. It's like the center of the NFL world. It's like if you could go into your Twitter feed and it's all like actually people that you can like hang out with and see and talk to. That's what the Combine is like. It's really cool. And I think for us, it feels like we're turning the page to 2026 and getting after next season.
Everyone seemingly is here for the most part. You have agents here. You have agents for agents here. You have GMs here. Their staffs here. Coaches are here. Prospective players here, obviously. It's just this combination. If you're an NFL nerd, you're just going to be stimulated every minute while you're here.
What's cool about this is if you're like a young person trying to get into sports media, I'm pretty sure they credential just about anyone to come here. Like you'll see like student writers from like student newspapers, people that just started up their own blog. Like they can go up and ask Brett Veach a question at the podium. So you have everyone from your ESPN and NFL Network people to all the team people to just about any media person in the world that wants to cover football. So if you're interested in being a NFL blogger or writer or whatever, come to the Combine. It's like the best possible networking opportunity you can ever find. We're meeting a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. And you're going to meet some people, too, in this podcast, because later on we're going to talk with Chris Shea, Assistant General Manager. A lot of you saw the entire DTK we had featured to him last offseason. He's phenomenal, actually, and one of the reasons why the Chiefs are so good in salary cap management specifically, but so many other things. And then Ryne Nutt, who's been a part of the Chiefs Kingdom since 2010, as he's a VP for player personnel, kind of overlooking everything, and a guy that's very close to Brett Veach. So those interviews are coming your way. But before we do anything, even in Indianapolis, even at the NFL Combine, let's go around the world, and I've got a few to add.
Yeah, just a couple today. We heard from Steve in Tucson, Arizona. But he was born and raised in Shawnee Mission and went to Shawnee Mission North.
Ooh, the Bison.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day because
the original Shawnee Mission. They were called Shawnee Mission High School, and it was out in the country. So before all the other Shawnee Missions, there was that school.
You were saying which Shawnee Mission school is like number one in the state in basketball right now?
Shawnee Mission South.
That's crazy. I would have never guessed
that.
They're
a menace right now.
Yeah.
No, they're a menace.
Well, Steve got transferred to Arizona in 1971, but has remained a lifelong Chiefs fan and passed that on to his sons as well. So shout out to you, Steve. Carlos is from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Yeah, way down in South America. Pretty cool. Paul is from Basehor, Kansas.
Basehor.
Yeah,
yep.
You know all about that area.
Home of the Bobcats.
Yeah. And then remember last week we had someone from Brandon, Mississippi, and I asked you if you had ever been to Brandon. Someone let us know that I should have remembered this. Gardner Minshew is from Brandon. Yeah. So we know two people from Brandon now. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gardner. Hope that knee's getting rehabbed.
Yes, sir.
That was a sad deal. He finally gets a chance to play, and then he plays on it for a while. He played like the whole first quarter on it.
Like 2 or 3 drives on it.
Never doubt the toughness of Gardner Minshew.
Yep.
I got a couple. So it was last week. You know, I speak in the Midwest a lot, even some across the country. But I was in Washington, Kansas.
Okay.
Not D.C., so I could say I was in Washington.
Yes.
And people go, wow, what was he doing there? Hanging out with the U.S. hockey team. No. So I'm in Washington, Kansas, speaking at an event, and a young man comes up with his young son, and he goes, we just love Chiefs Rewind.
That's
they
amazing.
also defending the kingdom. And a shout out to Austin Steinfort
from
Hanover, not Germany, but Hanover, Kansas. they have a terrific athletic tradition there. In fact, they've got a rival act still, the Eagles, not far away, and they just claw each other's eyes out. Like, it is one of the great 8-man rivalries in the United States. But anyway, Austin shows up. He's at this event with his son, Garth, and they're going, man, we just love Chiefs Rewind. I'm like, really?
Let's go.
Like, okay. Yeah, like we DTK too. Yeah, we like defending the kingdom, but like we'll tape Chiefs Rewind and watch it. I watch it with my wife, like big screen in our bedroom. I don't know if I'd recommend that, but anyway, I wanted to tell him, dude, we're either after a win, we're in such a hurry to get that show done because the thing we would dread was hearing the boom, boom, which is the bus's horn honking, meaning you better get on the bus in a minute or coach is saying we're leaving you behind.
And we got to pack up all our camera gear too. So there's a lot of times that we'll see one of our producers who's behind the camera just doing this, and you and I are going back and forth, and it's like we have more to say. But the other side of the coin is when we lose, like the second half of last season, you and I are like in deep despair.
I guess we'll do.
All right, here we go. We're going to figure it out. You and I are like psyching each other out.
We're supposed to have a player guest.
Yeah.
Like it was sad this week. We cut Mike Dana.
Yeah.
And he was the one guy that came out
after the Cowboys game.
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk. And so we appreciate the Steinfort family.
Yes, we do.
In fact, Christy's his wife. They have 5 beautiful kids. Christy just got a master's degree, I think. This is an incredible family. It's a young farm family, loves the Chiefs, and I get so excited and energized by it. And the caterer for this event was a years and years and years and years season ticket holder, traveling 3 hours one way to come to a game. And they're awesome caterers, but they're season ticket holders. So shout out to around the world, even Washington, Kansas, or Hanover, Kansas, or in the case of the caterer, either Barnes or Greenleaf, Kansas.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It was fun.
That's awesome. Where is Washington, Kansas on the map?
Well, you know where Smith Center is because the hometown is as north and as center as you can get in the perfect rectangle that is Kansas, other than when the Missouri River chews it off. It's not South Dakota. And so just go down the line straight towards St. Joe, 30 miles, Mankato, 60 miles, Belleville, 90 miles, Washington.
Okay.
Of course, named after the father of our country, but then Hanover, a lot of Germans there. And so Hanover, named after Hanover, Germany. But just a neat family, and so many neat families are at that event that are Chiefs fans. Great to see it.
That's awesome. Looking forward to some winning editions of Chiefs Rewind next year.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And hope the Steinforts enjoy it.
Yes.
It's part of their romance, I guess. Anyway, they're excited, I'm sure, like everybody else, about here at the Combine. And we're going to do a couple things. We're doing this podcast. We're also going to have a live stream here to try to bring you here to Indianapolis as we look at the 26 NFL Combine. Much like we talked about last week, 319 players here. The league is gathered here, but really fascinating to look at this 26 draft class. And for the Chiefs to have the 9th, the 40th, 3 of the top 75 picks are in this draft. So we're kind of watching it even closer than we normally do.
Yeah, this is an amazing opportunity. So last year was incredibly disappointing. I think we can all agree on that, and not at all what we expected. But how do you respond to that? Because it was our reality. Well, this is an opportunity, like we've been talking about for months now, to turn the page and to not only get back on track for this season, but to set our team up for another great run of success in the years to come. And how do you do that? Well, it's through the draft. And to have the 9th overall pick and to be picking in the top 10 in every round. So we've talked a lot about having pick 40 and what a big deal that is, because if you think about where the Chiefs have picked in recent years, picking at between 28 and 32, you're getting pretty much the same caliber player there as you might get at 40. And we still have that pick, but we also have 9th overall. The Chiefs have so many options. Different directions they can go with this pick in terms of position. They could trade back if they want to get more picks. It's just a really exciting opportunity, and I'm hopeful that like 2 or 3 years from now, we look back on this offseason and say that's the run that really created the foundation for all the success that we're having now.
And Brett Veach earlier today here, not far from us, had his public gathering, and he kind of alluded to that this is kind of a redo. It's when you're going to Super Bowls every year and trying to get the back-to-back, which we accomplished, and then try to get the three-peat, it's like filling in the gaps. But Brett alluded to the fact that it's not a rebuild, basically, but there's more of a construction feel to this 26 offseason than the 3 previous offseasons.
Brett mentioned that the last several years we were kind of in that maintenance stage. You have a team, a ready-made roster to go win the Super Bowl, and you kind of maintain it, and you try to go after making that history. And you're right. I mean, in one way, the Chiefs did, becoming the first back-to-back Super Bowl champion in 19 years, winning 3 titles in 5 seasons. You come up just short for the three-peat, and then you have the season that we had last year, which fell short of expectations. Well, when you have a season like last year, I think it kind of creates a mandate like, all right, we're no longer in that maintenance stage. We need to find a way to get this thing right to set up another run of success. And that really begins with the combine in a lot of ways, because it's not just the player evaluation. It's also dealing with agents for the players that are on your team if you want to try to sign some guys back, and plotting out the offseason plan. I mean, the new league year starts in a couple weeks when free agency opens up, and you can start to build your team a little bit through free agency, whether it be with a big-time signing or the smaller signings that happen in the weeks that follow. The Chiefs are always so good at those. And then the draft in April. I mean, this is a great opportunity for the Chiefs, and it's fun to be here this week because it feels like this is kind of the beginning. As we'll hear from the multiple executives and scouts we've talked to, it's not the beginning for them. They've been working on this offseason for years, preparing for the prospects that are in this class. But for all of us that are here, I mean, it really feels like the beginning of this offseason, and that's pretty exciting.
And everything you said, you're going to hear addressed by Chris Shea here in just a few minutes on this edition of Defending the Kingdom. But a lot of you ask almost by the day, you want a wide receiver at number 9, who would be available at wide receiver. Now, let me just give a general overview of this wide receiver class, in my opinion, and we're going to talk more as we get closer to the draft. But there's some very, very capable, like day one, make an impact type wide receivers. But you don't have generally the burners in this class.
Yeah.
But like you and I have talked about, and we've stated publicly, right now the leading receivers in this league, because of the way the league is adjusted somewhat, is the fact that it's the Puka Nakuas, the Jackson Smiths and Jigbas, who aren't necessarily 4.2s. They're 4.5s, but they're very, and this we talked about this with Chris, with O'Shea, Chad O'Shea, the wide receivers coach, about
we have a Chad O'Shea and a Chris Shea.
We have so many Shays and O'Sheas and Chads and Chris's. A lot of Irish around here. But the fact that this wide receiver class kind of gives you what you would want in the wide receiver room moving forward if you're looking at toughness, consistency, and making the tough, tight window catch.
Amon-Ra St. Brown is another player that kind of fits into that same mold. Where I remember doing draft stuff on Amon-Ra, and it's like, all right, well, he's not the biggest guy, he's not the fastest guy, but what do you know? He turns into one of the best receivers in football because he's tough, he's physical, he can run routes better than just about anyone. He catches every ball thrown his way, and he finds a way to get open. And there's players like that in this draft class. They're not going to jump off the page in terms of their 40 time or have a crazy vertical jump, but they might be really good football players, right, when you flip the tape on. And that's exciting because when you're looking at the Chiefs wide receiver core and kind of the attributes we talked about with Chad O'Shea last week, I think he would love a player like that. So
you get the first choice.
We've an exercise here.
Yeah, we're going to have some fun here. We're going to do the number 9 pick and the number 40 pick if a wide receiver, the Chiefs take a wide receiver. So Matt McMullen will now give you his pick at number 9 at wide receiver if it's your pick.
And just so everyone listening knows, they're like, why are you picking a receiver? We're going to do receiver, running back, and offensive tackle today. And then on the live stream, we're going to do edge, defensive tackle, and defensive back. So this is an exercise about all the different players in this draft. We're not saying it has to be a receiver. We're just saying if it was a receiver at 9, who would it be? And who knows if these guys would even be available. But my pick is Mekhi Lemon from USC, which is like, it's just so funny. We're talking about guys like Puka and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like Mekhi Lemon, in my opinion, is like a carbon copy of those kind of guys. Just like a technician of
This
a
is the way
runner.
the draft worked. That was also my pick.
This is how it goes.
Now I got to
exactly.
In seconds, I've got to reevaluate my pick.
You'll pick someone else, and people will say, why doesn't Mitch like Mekhi Lemon?
Yeah. No, I like Mekhi Lemon.
But he just finds a way to get open is the thing. thing. I mean, he's not going to run the fastest 40. He's not going to have crazy eye-popping stats in terms of the measurables and all that. Not the biggest guy, but he's a great football player, and he finds a way to get open. I mean, he plays bigger than he is. He can go up and win in contested catch situations. And Daniel Jeremiah does great draft intel stuff for NFL.com. I thought this was a great line from him. He called him a wide receiver with a running back's body and a linebacker's temperament. Great way to put it, right?
I'll take that.
Yeah, so I'd love a player like Mekhi Lemon on our team. If we got him at 9, I'd be pretty fired up about it.
And I think the comp he gave was Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and it could be any of those guys, though, Puka or JSN.
JSN, sure. Cooper Kupp back in the day when he's like fresh. So now I've got to readjust my pick here on Defending the Kingdom with Matt taking my guy, Mekhi
Clock is
Lemon.
ticking.
So I'll go with Jordan Tyson.
Yeah.
Started at Colorado, then he ended up at Arizona State. Now, there's some injury issues here. That's why the combine, how many times you're going to hear through these interviews since we've been here, almost the most valuable part of the combine now has turned into the injury evaluation or the medicals, because you just don't have the opportunity to get the accurate information necessarily from schools because they've been at 4 or 5 schools. And so our medical staff is here and our athletic training staff is here. So Tyson's medical evaluation will be critical at the combine, too, as we move on towards his pro day and so forth. But what I liked about him, his contested catch rate, 67% 2 years ago in 24 before he had the injuries at Arizona State. And so, again, it's not like it's a slam dunk to me. I would have taken Lemon, but the fact that Tyson could end up being a very good pro, there's a lot of ceiling to him.
Yeah, a smooth player. Like, watching his tape is really fun. And I think as long as he's healthy, he'll be a really good player. That's the question, is the health. Yeah. And like we talked about last week, that's maybe the most important part of the combine is we have a centralized way to get medical information, because if the combine didn't exist, it would be like the wild, wild west, and it'd be chaos. So the fact that our athletic trainers and docs are here and can evaluate these players and give our front office executives a really clear picture going into the draft is a big deal.
And one front office person told me there are guys that actually have been diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
Going through the medicals here that they wouldn't have known otherwise.
Guys are going through MRIs. They're doing everything. And think about a lot of these players. They might not have had a lot of access to these kind of things early in their life, And now you come to an event like this and you get like not just a physical, like it is everything that could possibly be done to you is done. And some people find out about medical stuff, and in a lot of ways those are happy stories because they wouldn't have found out otherwise, and they ended up catching it early and all that. Okay,
it's number 40. You didn't take a wide receiver at 9.
Yep.
What are you doing at 40? The next pick.
How about Malachi Fields from Notre Dame? So, different kind of player than the guys we've talked about. He's more of like a big, physical, powerful wide receiver. Think like contested catches and red zone stuff. Just throw the ball up and he can come down with it. The Chiefs really haven't had a player like that in the Patrick Mahomes era who can just go up and get the football. Not the fastest guy, but a player who could just go up in tight coverage and win in 50-50 situations and break away for big plays after the catch. I don't think he's going to run the fastest 40-yard dash, but a player that, when he's playing football, can make a big play over the middle and break away for a big play after he makes the catch.
Talk about how the league has changed. It's become 10-play drives, try to score at the end of the drive, where teams are taking their shots, are numbers to boundary on a 9 route to guys like that.
Like Mike Evans is what I think about, yeah.
Bingo, DK Metcalf.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, same thing there. So mine is KC Concepcion of Texas A&M. He started at NC State. He was the ACC Rookie of the Year at NC State for the Wolfpack. Yak, which I'm right now all about Yak. Great intermediate route runner and a potential special teams guy. He's not the biggest cat, but 2 punt returns for touchdowns. I just want a room where Jalen Royals would be in the same wide receiver room with KC Concepcion.
KC Royals.
And be KC Royals.
I think that'd be great.
I think
it's funny watching him because when you watch him, it's like this is a Kansas City Chiefs kind of player. He's shifty and fast and can make big plays happen. Needs to improve the drop rate. Had some drops in college, but overall like an electric player and could make a lot of sense.
Running back. I get the first choice on this one.
Yes, most obvious choice
Duh.
ever.
Because Jeremiah Love is really set apart
Yeah.
in the running back draft class of 2026. It really kind of falls way off after that. You may not see another running back taken until late second, early third.
Yeah.
But Jeremiah Love has been dynamic. You look at production in every way, shape, or form. You see the comps of Jahmyr Gibbs and DeAndre Swift. Imagine that in a red, white, and gold uniform. And so a lot of Chiefs fans are out there throughout the world going, yeah, we'll take Jeremiah Love. So, okay, this is an easy one. I'm picking the low fruit here. What do you have at 9?
Well, regardless of who it is, we need to get more explosive in the running game. And Brett Veach at his media earlier today was asked, what's one area you're really trying to address this offseason? And he said, we have to get more explosive at running back. And he even mentioned, we have maybe the best interior offensive line in the NFL. We got to take advantage of that. And we talked about it a handful of weeks ago. A stat that I dug up during our extended break in January was the fact that the Chiefs had the fewest passing yards and play action in the NFL last season. And think about all the pressure that puts on Mahomes when he was healthy, where your play action game is not very effective because you're not breaking off explosive runs. Not only are you not getting big plays in the run game, the defenses don't have to respect it as much and can really not worry about it when you do play action. I really think if the Chiefs can add a play action or a more explosive element to the running game next year, the offense will be so much better because of the play action game and just the ability to break off big runs from time to time. So long-winded way of saying that Love could make a lot of sense. Maybe they address it in free agency. There's going to be some options. We'll see. There's not another running back worthy of taking at number 9, but there are some other good players that would go later in the draft. So for the sake of this, I'll just pick another guy. I would not take this player at 9. The disclaimer is out there. But for the sake of this, another player
it's
I like.
It's going to be on Instagram.
Yeah, another player I like is
Matt McMullen wants to take him at 9.
How about Love's teammate, Jadarian Price at Notre Dame? He's one of those players where I think if he was not paired with Jeremiah Love, I think we might know a lot more about him because really good player at Notre Dame that just happened to share the backfield with the best player in the country at running back. He's 5'11", 210 pounds, patient runner, a great contact balance, also has return value on special teams. So not in round 1, but Jadarian Price at some point in the draft could make some sense.
And at 40, again, I don't think there's going to be a ton of running backs taken until after this. But Nicholas Singleton of Penn State, just this big, the comp is Bashal Tutin of the Jaguars. Not sure he's that fast. Tutin's a great returner. But this guy's 224 pounds, a lot of productivity, the bigger type back that you could make fit in the room. So, again, I don't think an RB is going to be taken at 40 either. But for the sake of the exercise.
Yeah, and same idea. I think I'd go with Emmett Johnson in the later rounds from Nebraska. A lot of Chiefs
fans would love it.
Yeah, they like Emmett Johnson. We have some Cornhuskers that work in our media department at the Chiefs, and they're fired up about Emmett Johnson. He's explosive. He's elusive, just a playmaker. Mm-hmm. Again, he has football speed, so I don't know if he's going to run a blazing 40-yard dash, but just turn his tape on, and he is fast. Like, he is football fast. So when he gets the ball, he puts his foot on the gas, and he's gone. Very difficult to catch up with. He can also maneuver his way through traffic with excellent vision, so big plays that way. And he's a really solid pass catcher out of the backfield. If you watch some of his film from Nebraska, a lot of his big plays were on routes that he ran out of the backfield, and I think Coach Reed could do a lot of fun things with Emmett Johnson.
If you're an astute Kingdom defender and have listened and watched these podcasts for years, you know our style because basically what we've told you is read between the lines at running back. Like, looks like free agent pick at running back.
Yeah, there's some good free agents out there at running back.
Yeah, so Kingdom defenders are going, let's sort that, look that up at the line, go, they're thinking free agency at running back. So it's perfect then that we would discuss not only the combine, the draft, but also free agency with the guy who's one of the best in the business, the National Football League, and that is Chris Shea, Assistant General Manager, to lay it all out. He's closing in on 3 decades in the National Football League, and so great for us as Assistant General Manager Chris Shea. By the way, it's must-view, watching, listening, find his Defending the Kingdom podcast when we featured this guy and how amazing he is and what he means to the Chiefs Kingdom. So it's great to have you back.
It's great to be here. I'm glad to be with you guys.
Okay, getting everything right, people get into the combine, but free agency. I feel like you're in an asteroid storm at this time of year. You're just dodging asteroids. But first, to get the cap right, to attack the year, which starts very soon.
That's right. So, that sets the table for everything else. So we have work to do every offseason to make sure that we have enough resources available to sign our own players, sign free agents from other teams. So this period of time between the season and the beginning of the league year, there are a lot of tough decisions that we have to make about how to allocate resources, but there are also some really good decisions about trying to figure out how to retain some of our really good players that Brett's brought here, and we're working through all those scenarios now.
So in your role, I'm going to ask you about all the other stuff that happens at the Combine in a minute, but looking at the prospects and the draft specifically, what's the value for you in this event?
Well, so it's an opportunity, some of the stuff that happens behind the scenes that we are able to really digest more back in Kansas City is really critical. Like, for instance, something that not everybody talks about is our medical staff, really the medical staffs of all 32 clubs, but Rick Burkholder, our team doctors, they get an opportunity to assess all the players that are here, do physicals, get us a little bit of an idea of how healthy and durable players will be, what issues we might have to work through on that front. That's tremendous. We also have an opportunity to interview the players here, get to know them a little bit. Different teams have different philosophies about how valuable it is to meet with players here. I think it's great to be able to at least interact, knowing you have to do more work and knowing that our scouts have been talking to, or scouting these players for years, and in some instances talking to them for months. It's a good introduction for myself, Veach, sort of the executive level guys, to see the players for the first time in person, and our entire staff to get to know their personalities a little bit. It's just one piece of the puzzle, but the interviews are important, the medicals are critical, and then it's in my role in particular, it's an opportunity for me to meet with agents and talk to the agents of our players, and there are agents here that represent a lot of the guys here at the Combine too. So it's a busy time with lots of different value, but the Combine medicals and interviews are almost more important than the data from the workouts. That's a piece of the puzzle, but it's a small piece compared to the film and the other information we have.
And we've talked so often, it's become more complicated as players go to different schools.
Right.
And they don't stay at the same high school. They're like at 3 different high schools. Like, the fact of gaining information, how much more difficult is it?
It's a challenge. And I commend our college scouting staff. They have to work so much harder now than a few years ago. You might have one player and it's not uncommon. There are lots of players that are on our draft board that have gone to 2 and 3 schools. And I'm sure it will be something that becomes even more prevalent over time. So whereas a player who might, graduate in 3 to 5 years in the past would be someone that was at one school, that one area scout would scout for years and know backwards and forwards. Now 3 of our area scouts might have to, know about him, collaborate on our understanding of him as a person, and that's really the critical value there. We'll get the film evaluation right as a group, and our scouts do a great job of evaluating as talent scouts, but they really are trying to be private investigators too and understand the people, and we have to have so many more people involved in contributing to our understanding of what these players are as human beings. It's a challenge. It adds a lot of work. We have to add layers to ensure that our scouts are communicating to each other, and our guys do a great job year-round of saying, hey, this guy was here, this is what I have on him, and exchanging ideas, so we're able to develop a complete picture.
You touched on this a little bit, but so much of this week is you having a chance to meet with agents and kind of formulate like an off-season plan with Veach. Can you speak on that a little bit and how important this week is for that practice?
Sure. Well, we have ongoing dialogue with a lot of our own players' agents throughout the year and even leading into the Combine, but it's a great opportunity, particularly before the official negotiation window starts, where we can start talking to other agents about other teams' players to really hone in on where our guys are at. And, and I know Veach talked about this a little bit, we're having some discussions with some of our own guys about what the future is here, and to be able to, cement those relationships face to face and reconnect with agents and, in some instances we're in active negotiations, and others we aren't. It's just good to be able to continue the relationship and have some time in front of these people.
And enjoy some steak, shrimp cocktail every once in a while.
Yes, a lot of steak in Indianapolis, no doubt about it.
Chris, as a follow-up, I look at the class of 2022, how incredible they were. 2 Super Bowl championships, 3 Super Bowl trips. You can't keep them all. We can't keep them all. It's a fact of life. Value. And I'm going to look at it ask you for 2 different ways as it relates to free agency. We're trying to decide who to keep at what price, who to go get at what price. Many times the cap can get screwed up because we're overvaluing or overpaying for a player. That process of deciding of our current guys whom to keep at what price and who to go get at what price.
It starts with Brett creating a process where we don't have a lot of silos. So the cap piece is integrated with the subjective scouting of pro and college players. And also we do data analytics here, our group led by Mark Richards, our Director of Research and Development. All those inputs come into Veach, but what he also does is he creates this environment where we're all part of these discussions about what is the player supply? How do we attack maximizing our resources so that we can take advantage of the players coming out of college, what's available in free agent generally. There are certain positions that just don't make it to free agency because if you have good players at important positions, let's say typically offensive tackle, pass rusher, quarterback, they rarely make it. And so you're not going to have a large supply of those players in free agency. It puts a premium on being able to draft at those positions. We talk about that all the time, but at the same time, you have to look at the supply you have in any given draft and assess who the best players are. Sometimes there are positions that maybe aren't those rare premium positions, like not to pick on a certain position, but linebacker or running back is a little bit less valuable in their markets than, say, tackles, quarterbacks, receivers. So we try to put it all together about what the available player supply is, and over time have a broad guideline about how we want to invest into what positions, and it has to all jive with Coach Reed's vision of what's important to winning games the way he wants to play. And you guys know, Coach, it's going to be quarterback, the line of scrimmage, and then there are other positions along the line too, and we try to put all that together to form a coherent strategy to maximize what we have.
You ever get on like overthecap.com or Spot Track? How accurate are those? We mess around all the time on those.
Those guys, a lot of them do a great job. Jason Fitzgerald, who runs overthecap.com, has done, I don't actually know him personally. He's done a great job. That's a pretty accurate site. There are little things on the margins. Maybe we disagree about how we value a contract here or there, but it's rare. But, the websites, it's become great. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was a lot of inaccuracy. Now it's close, very, very close.
All right.
We'll close this way. What would you caution fans on, though, of don't be deceived, it's not the way it appears in this, in the calendar where we're at right now?
Sure. Well, I think one thing I'd say about, just the cap world is, often there, I think fans always want to look at, available cap space in the moment for things that you can do. It isn't always a one-for-one corollary that you have, this much cap space right now and you can spend it all. This is a little bit minutia, but, when we look at our cap in our room that we're going to have at the beginning of the league year, we also have to carve out room for things we're going to spend on later. And it's the draft class. It's, it sounds silly. It's the practice squad. That's several $1 million. It's also building in the idea that, we're going to get, unfortunately, in a physical sport, some players that are going to be injured. So we have to build for breakage a little bit. And, we have to build in all the expenses that we're going to have over the course of the year. So our discretionary spending on the cap side is a little less than people think, but we found a way to plow through even some of those constraints. But that's something I don't know that a lot of fans think about. We have to have contingencies built into how we spend.
We're glad you think about it. I think about it all the time. We are blessed to have this guy, Chris Shea, Assistant General Manager. Man, again, if you can find it, go back and find the DTK where we feature Chris in and of himself. We are so blessed to have that guy running the cap and helping Brett Veach by the minute the guy's sharp as can be.
It's just amazing all the things that they have to keep straight.
Yeah.
And Chris Shea is one of the best in the business at it, where think of all the things going on right now. I mean, you have to figure out the whole offseason plan, and that includes not only draft preparation and making sure everyone's informed on hundreds and hundreds of prospects to make split-second decisions on draft weekend, but also figuring out all of our own free agents. And it's not just our big-name free agents. It's guys that were on the practice squad last year. Like right now, who do you want to sign to reserve future deals? How can we have enough players to fill out our roster and to create competition over the course of the offseason training program? And, of course, attacking free agents from other teams as well. Just a lot to figure out, a lot to work through. And luckily we have, like, an absolute genius in Chris Shea doing it.
And I loved his answer at the end. Go back and listen to it. All the other things that come into play. One of the misconceptions is you've cleared this much for the cap. Go get it. Spend it. Not necessarily. The wisdom here is you have to allocate so much for your rookie class. People forget about that. Or to recruit your practice squad, which is now taking a whole other dimension, or you got to deal with injuries. You're adding guys as the season goes on, and so I thought that was fascinating. All right, offensive tackle may be a very as worthy a discussion here as anything in our 9/40 before we hear from Ryne Nutt. But at number 9, I'm going to let you have the shot here at looking at offensive tackle and who you'd pick.
Which, it's interesting with offensive tackle because we could go a lot of different ways here. There are kind of consensus, like 2, maybe 3 tackles who could go top 15, probably 2 that could go top 10, that could influence other players falling to us. If one of these major tackles falls to us at 9, I think you have to think about it. I don't think tackle is a pressing need for the Chiefs right now, but consider what happened last year at the end of the year with all the injuries. You can never have enough depth, and getting like a top 10 tackle to set you up for years to come is pretty exciting. All that being said, how about Spencer Fano from Utah? So he has left and right tackle experience, which I think is valuable, but primarily a right tackle over the last 2 years at Utah. He's 6'6", 308 pounds. He's athletic, which intrigues me. Like very quick on his feet, quick out of his stance. That's important when you're looking at our division, when you have speed rushers like Nick Benito on the other side. We can't have a lot of tackles who are more lumbering kind of guys. We need athleticism at that position because Nick Benito isn't waiting around for you to get out of your set. So Spencer Fano could make some sense. Kind of a work in progress. I don't think he's a finished product yet, but a lot of tools there. The foundation is there for a very good athletic right tackle.
Yeah, and Lomu's the guy that moved him to right tackle.
Yes.
So you got two Utah guys. You talk about 2 offensive tackles going early. They could be 2 Utah Utes.
Yeah.
But I'm going to throw in a guy here because to me this is a right tackle festival. Now, Josh Simmons, there's nobody here in this draft that's as good as Josh Simmons.
No.
Okay? I think I'm safe to say that.
It's amazing we got him last year. It really is. And I'm fired up for him this season.
Let's go, Josh. But this thing is a right tackle festival. There's like 7 right tackles that either at 9 or 40. Think about where the Chiefs are. If you got Simmons that rolls at left tackle, Kingsley Suama'atia really took big steps forward.
Yeah.
This goes back to what you were saying just a few minutes ago. And then you've got Creed Humphrey, the best center in the league, and you got a Pro Bowl right guard in Trey Smith. If you get a young right tackle and now all of a sudden Jalen Moore becomes your swing or your 6th guy when you play 6 over 5 and play the run game like everybody in the league is doing now and everybody's doing against us, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Let me throw another name out here, and that's Francis Maui-Noa, a big right tackle type and a guy that is going to be a starter, could be a day 1 starter in the NFL for either the Chiefs or somebody else.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And that's the thing. I mean, so many options. Like, I don't think this draft is one of those where at 9 we have to take a certain position. I think one of these positions, and we're going to talk about defense on our live stream, one of these positions is going to fall to us, and we're going to have an opportunity to take a really good player. The other conversation point with offensive tackle is I think taking a right tackle, like a really good right tackle, would be more of a luxury kind of pick for us at this point. It'd be awesome, but I don't think it's like we have to do it. Some teams are more hard-pressed to get a tackle in this draft, and if you're at 9 and a team really wants one of the guys that we're talking about, they might trade up a couple of spots because you might take him. and you get a whole haul of picks back. So some exciting options here, but if we went tackle, I wouldn't be mad about it. We could also go tackle in the second round, and there's some good players there. At 40, I'm going to try to make sure I get this name right. Max Ihanashore from Arizona State.
Arizona State.
Another fun player. So he's a big dude, 6'5", 325 pounds. Kind of like Fano. He's still developing. He's not a finished product yet, but has the tools to be a really, really good player for a long time, I think. Really solid at the Senior Bowl. We'll see what he does here this week at the Combine.
Yeah, and I'm just going to throw one other name out there. It's too fun. Caden Proctor, gigantic human.
Yes.
He went to Southeast Polk High School in East Des Moines. So
you love those guys.
I love them. And same high school, by the way, Brad G., who's the vice president for communications for PR for the Chiefs. Went to the same high school. Kyle Orton, by the way. Remember Kyle Orton?
I sure do. The glorious win over the Packers.
Yes, we picked him up for 1 week, and he beat the Packers, who were undefeated at the time. Went to Southeast Polk High School. This guy was a phenom in high school. Went to Alabama out of East Des Moines, Southeast Polk High School. And so, anyway, Proctor's the kind of guy that could be there at 40, another right tackle that could be potentially a day one starter or work into that very quickly early in the season to complete your offensive line. Okay, when you're looking at personnel and we're looking at our area scouts and trying to disseminate information, this is what they do all year long. We're sitting here talking about it now, but they're doing it all the time. But Ryne Nutt has been around with the Chiefs Kingdom since 2010. We had a chance to catch up with Ryan here at the Combine to talk about everything getting ready for this moment and beyond. Well, we continue here now from the NFL Combine, but with us now is Ryne Nutt, Vice President for Player Personnel, who has been with the Kansas City Chiefs now, man. This has been a while. We'll go all the way back to 2010, but you've been around the league a long time. The role now as you guys start, just the roles of the area scouts, all the work that they've done, and you start to compile that and put it together.
Sure. So we have 5 area scouts, right? And we separate them across the United States. And then we have 2 people that kind of work in hybrid roles. We have Jalen Merrick, who's a pro scout, who does pro in college. And then we have Drew Grigson, who has a hybrid role. They help out as area guys. But it's five scouts. They'll do, Greg Castillo does the West, Jason Lamb does the Southwest, Terry Delp does the Midwest, then you have Cassidy Kaminsky does the Northeast, and you have Will Christopherson does the Mid-Atlantic, which is essentially Virginia down to Georgia, with including Tennessee. And then Drew will do Kentucky, Florida, and Alabama. So they all have an area, and they're all supposed to be experts in their area. So they'll go in and they'll be accountable for any draft-eligible player, which is essentially a player that's been 3 years out of high school. That's what we look at. So when you go into a school, they'll tell you, hey, this guy's considering leaving, and sometimes they'll say, hey, this guy's not going to leave. And they give you a scope of kind of who you need to look at. And their job is to go in and talk to as many people and provide a picture for Brett and for myself and the other executives of who this kid will be when we present in meetings, okay? So they talk to the trainers. They're going to talk to the strength coach. They'll talk to academics. They'll talk to the coaches, obviously. They'll talk to the point of contact, which is your pro liaison. They'll talk to high school coaches on the phone. They'll talk to previous institutions where the player attended. So they have to get all this information, and then they have to type it into a computer. So, and I don't know if you guys probably don't know this, but one draftable player, just to type in the background, takes an hour and a half.
Wow.
So if you go into a school with 20 players and 15 are draftable, you can imagine, like Alabama this year, they have 25 guys. You do 20 that are draftable. That's 30 hours of work. That's one school. So if you hit 3 schools up in a week, that's 90 hours. So these scouts are it's like college again. You're typing till midnight, waking up at 6, trying to get as much work done as you can and be efficient. So they put all this information in, create a composite, and then when it comes time for meetings, they now present. This is the kid. Here's the information I got. And it's the first line of information we get. It's extremely important. It's accurate. And throughout the year, they'll revise it, edit it, and make sure that what they're presenting is the truth as best they can get from third-person knowledge.
Wow.
You know?
So for
Fascinating.
you guys at the executive level, how do you take all that information? I mean, 319 prospects here and dozens more you're probably interested in that aren't here. How do you then digest all of that to make decisions on draft weekend?
Sure. It's a year-long process. It's not a month before the draft. It starts at the end of June when we get a brief list, or we get a big list from NFS, National Football Scouting, that says here's all the colleges with players, and that's where we start. And the scouts do their work, decide, okay, these are legit prospects at these schools. Any big four college throughout the country we go to twice. We'll have a cross-check scout go in there as well. So you do all the scouting, you go into all these schools, and it's just, you go from the season to all-stars to our meetings, and you sit there as a group, and we'll put on one player at a time. We usually do 6-round or higher draft picks. That'll be the starting point. And we go through from the best player that was given the highest grade by a scout down to the lowest, down to that 6th round. And we watch every single player as a group. We usually watch 3 games. So Brett is getting, he is watching everybody that's here at the combine, and everybody that's not here. And we as a group stack the board and put them up there, and we're going through mental, character. You're watching the tape, and it's a collaborative system. It's a team system, and we all get our eyes on them together. So,
Wow.
Going back to the area guys, though, we now have dudes at this combine who went to 3 different high schools or a prep school.
Yeah.
And they might have gone to 3 or 4 different colleges. So now you're down a rabbit hole with these guys. How much pressure has that put on the area scouts and on you and your whole staff?
It makes it incredibly difficult because you are sometimes getting completely opposite character reports from the school the player just came from. That's a school that's probably not happy their player left, you know? So you're going to get one set of information to a school now that wants their players drafted, so they're going to give you another perspective. So you have to find out what's real, what's not, and it's usually somewhere in the middle. But it is the NIL and really specifically just the transfer portal. They've tightened it up a little bit. Now it's just a one-time thing. Well, it's not 2. So it caused kind of chaos a little bit where guys were jumping around, and you're right. You have 6-year guys that were at 4 schools. And you're like, how are you developing as a player when you're at 4 different schools and 4 different systems? You're missing the spring to develop, and it's crazy. But it's the situation we're in now, and we just have to adapt and adjust.
It's a lot to kind of sift through, but you mentioned the collaboration of the whole front office staff. To me, that's always really stood out with you guys. Why do you think your group gets along so well together and works so well together?
First, it starts at the top. We work for a world-class organization with Clark Hunt and his family, the way they handle everything. I mean, there's a level of pride working for the Chiefs, just the history and just what we've experienced as in the consistency of the owner and what he brings. I mean, he's got to be the most consistent owner in the NFL in terms of his investment, the involvement, the communication, the standards he sets, and the level of zero ego. Like Clark Hunt, it's the owner of an organization. There's no ego to Clark Hunt. And that kind of trickles down to a head coach, Hall of Fame head coach in Andy Reid, and a general manager who might end up being in the Hall of Fame, Brett Veach. So both of them handle it the same way, the high level of communication, high level of trust, no ego. They work their butts off. And then we see that as employees, as executives, or as scouts, and you see that and you kind of want to emulate that. So you do the same thing. So we have a good just basis of what's expected, where there's hard work, no ego, and this is a team, so let's build this as a team. And then when you get in the meetings, Brett is going to listen to you. You're going to be heard. You're going to feel valued. And then when you get people who feel valued, they buy in, and everyone works hard. And just the level of transparency in draft meetings that he allows. Like, we go through players, most GMs listen to it, and then everyone leaves, and then they'll do their thing. Brett, in real time, is going to put a guy up on the board where he thinks this player is, and he's going to ask the room, like, you guys good with this? And if somebody isn't, they can speak up, and he's not going to get angry. He's not going to get, offended. He's just going to say, here's what I'm thinking. So you're hearing it right from the horse's mouth, so to speak, of what he feels and why he decided to put that player. And I think the scouts, and I do as an executive, I appreciate it because that level of just inclusiveness and transparency is beyond what most teams allow.
Yeah, super cool.
So fascinating,
Yeah.
and we appreciate all your work. It
Well, I
is
appreciate
a
you guys.
365-day deal. Ryne Nutt, Vice President for Player Personnel. Fascinating there. The area scouts and the volume of work they have to do. And you know what I did not think about, because, I've been in this kick about NIL and COVID and 7-year guys and 26-year-old guys. When these guys transfer, they're transferred from different regions in many cases, which it goes from area scout to area scout to area scout.
Man, it's crazy. I mean, everything that the area scouts do for us organizationally, it's like the lifeblood of our team. We couldn't function without it. And think about the sacrifice involved, that you're covering an entire region. You're spending weeks, months away from home, on the road, just meeting with players, and you might draft one guy from your area. Maybe, right? It's just incredible. And the fact that our area scouts have been so incredible over the years is why we were able to sustain success for so long, despite picking at 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 every single year at the bottom of every single round. I mean, think about it. The Chiefs won 9 straight AFC West titles, went to the playoffs 10 straight years, and we're going to go back next year. But you can't sustain that success. It's not normal in the NFL. Never happens, right? The reason the Chiefs were able to do it is because our area scouts were grinding constantly over and over again throughout year after year, finding these players who are going to help us win Super Bowls. And I thought that conversation with Ryan was awesome because those guys deserve so much credit. They don't get a lot of attention, but they deserve it.
I love what he said, too, about the humility and on-task attitude of Clark Hunt.
Yeah.
And how that goes to
so important.
Coach Reed,
Yeah.
and then it goes to and so it permeates all the way up and down the line. Great stuff there from Ryne Nutt. We're also going to have a live stream from here at the NFL Combine. You're going to hear from Brett Veach. It's a 2-on-1, as Matt and I had a chance to sit down with Brett in an exclusive interview with that. You're going to enjoy that. Charles Davis, we're going to hear from Charles Davis. Matt Miller's going to break down. This is going to be an awesome live stream.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. This was kind of like a mini version of what we're going to do on Wednesday. If you want some more draft content, you want to hear about the defensive players that we like, tune in on Wednesday. We had that conversation with Brett Veach. We'll hear from Mike Bradway, who's also in our personnel department. It'll be great. So tune in. We're having fun.
Here we are. Indianapolis, shrimp cocktail, too. San Elmo, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I could eat some more shrimp cocktail. I thought it was
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Don't need Mucinex.
No.
Just put it right up in there. You can just take it and grind it up in there.
If you have a cold, it will clear you right out.
But that quick. All right. NFL Combine, baby. Chiefs getting ready for 2026, trying to make the right moves, all the right moves.